Breaking news. Prince Harry's Remembrance Day. Declaration shakes the world. His words. Outshine. Every royal event. It was meant to be an ordinary Remembrance Day message, yet the world felt it like thunder. Prince Harry, the soldier prince, the son who walked behind his mother's coffin and later walked away from the institution, has spoken once again. And this time his words have become a movement. The announcement he made in Toronto has circled the globe faster than any royal appearance, overshadowing Prince William's heavily promoted tour of Brazil. Newspapers, broadcasters, and millions online call it what it is: the Harry effect, a phenomenon of sincerity and humanity that no crown can command. Standing before rows of veterans, flags, and silent wreaths, Harry made his voice carry beyond the ceremony. "Remembrance must live beyond one day," he said. "We cannot honour the fallen only in silence. We must live their legacy by caring for the living." Then came the announcement. A new international initiative named the Global Veterans Trust, a fund to provide lifelong medical, mental health, and family support for service members across all nations, regardless of flag or rank. "We serve together, we heal together," he declared. Those 7 words became headlines from London to Los Angeles before the hour was over. The reaction was instant and emotional. Crowds at the event erupted into applause that lasted several minutes. Reporters who had expected a quiet commemoration found themselves filming history. Television anchors broke into regular programming to replay his speech in full. Across social platforms, clips of Harry's words were shared millions of times. By the evening, hashtags like Harry Effect, Global Veterans Trust, and Real Leadership were trending worldwide. Commentators called it one of the most powerful modern royal addresses ever delivered. In 5 minutes, Harry achieved what palace press offices failed to do in a year. "He made people feel," said one Canadian broadcaster. His message was simple but resonant. Remembrance is not a yearly ritual, it's a living duty. "The men and women we honour didn't give their lives for pageantry," he said softly. "They gave them for peace. So let's make peace the way we remember them." Those words became the emotional echo of the day. Meanwhile, in Rio de Janeiro, Prince William was climbing Sugarloaf Mountain for a photo op on sustainable tourism. Cameras clicked, aides smiled, headlines were planned. Yet the global audience was somewhere else entirely, tuned into Harry's voice, not William's view. Brazilian newspapers themselves, which had devoted full pages to William's schedule, suddenly shifted coverage to Harry's announcement. One editorial read, "While the heir looks to the horizon, the spare changes it." The contrast between the brothers could not have been sharper. William's team had invested weeks of planning into his Brazil itinerary, meant to display leadership on climate and diplomacy. But Harry's spontaneous sincerity from a public park in Toronto eclipsed all of it. "You can choreograph a trip," one veteran journalist remarked, "but you can't choreograph a soul." In every language, headlines echoed the same sentiment. Harry's compassion had outshone the monarchy's machinery. In London, newsrooms scrambled. The palace communications staff issued a short statement congratulating the Duke of Sussex on his continued dedication to veterans. But privately, aides admitted frustration. "Every time we plan a global stage for William," one insider told reporters, "Harry speaks and the story becomes his." By late evening, BBC anchors were openly contrasting the two. "Prince William's mountaintop moment was elegant," one presenter said, "but Prince Harry's message was elemental." The following morning, newspapers across continents carried images of Harry, eyes bright yet serious, speaking at the podium. The Times ran the headline, "Harry leads by heart." The Guardian printed, "The Prince who still serves." Even the Daily Mail, often critical, called it a masterclass in authentic leadership. Editorials noted how the Duke of Sussex had once again proven that influence in the modern age is not inherited, it is earned. Experts in public communication called it the defining moment of a new royal era. Harry understands the global language of emotion, explained a sociologist at the University of Toronto. He connects not as a prince, but as a person. That's why people trust him. Within 24 hours of the announcement, governments in Australia, Canada, and New Zealand signalled willingness to partner with his Global Veterans Trust. A US senator tweeted that his words were a call to unity in a divided time. For veterans, Harry's speech was not politics, it was recognition. Former soldiers flooded online forums with gratitude. One Canadian veteran wrote, "He may not wear the uniform now, but he wears the spirit of service." In Britain, even those long sceptical of him softened. "He's done more for veterans from exile than some have done from Buckingham Palace," wrote a columnist for The Independent. The ripple effect stretched far beyond the Commonwealth. In Germany, France, and Japan, broadcasters replayed clips of Harry saying, "We heal together." In Africa and South America, local veterans organizations released joint statements praising his global vision. Even humanitarian agencies reached out to collaborate. The announcement had turned into a movement overnight. Meanwhile, William's Brazil schedule continued: visits to eco-projects, official dinners, stage smiles. But the world's conversation had moved on. Royal watchers in Britain began describing an uncomfortable truth. The heir was no longer the headline. The younger brother, long dismissed as the rebel, had become the reference point for relevance. "This isn't rivalry," said one former palace aide. "It's evolution. The public prefers purpose over protocol." London Talk shows debated the implications all week. Some hosts asked whether the monarchy could afford to ignore the emotional connection Harry now commands. Callers flooded in with sentiments that surprised producers. "Harry makes me proud to be British again," said one. "He's proof that kindness leads better than ceremony," said another. Public polls soon confirmed what headlines suggested. Harry's approval ratings surged worldwide, even in the UK where years of tabloid hostility had eroded them. Analysts attributed the turnaround to one word repeated across coverage: authenticity. "He doesn't posture," noted a BBC commentator. "He simply believes what he says." The financial press even noticed the Harry effect in philanthropy. Donations to veterans' charities spiked within days of his announcement. Tech companies in North America offered to match public contributions. A London bank pledged £10 million to the new trust. "He speaks and people act," said a charity executive. "That's the power of credibility." What startled palace observers most was that Harry had done it all without institutional backing, royal funding, or the machinery of the crown. His speech was written in his own words, delivered without teleprompter or scriptwriter. "It wasn't royal," said one journalist. "It was real." The deeper symbolism resonated too. On one continent, the heir to the throne posed above clouds. On another, the soldier prince grounded himself among ordinary people, speaking of shared wounds and collective healing. The contrast was poetic. "He doesn't need a balcony," tweeted one commentator. "He builds bridges." Even seasoned foreign correspondents found themselves emotional describing the moment. "When he said we heal together, there was a pause in the crowd that felt sacred," recalled a Canadian anchor. "It wasn't celebrity, it was communion." By week's end, the Global Veterans Trust had received international endorsement. The United Nations Goodwill Office praised the initiative as a unifying model of remembrance. Military hospitals in Canada and Australia pledged to join the program. Analysts now estimate the fund will reach tens of thousands of service families within a year. In Rio, William's final stop came and went with polite applause. Reporters asked him about his brother's announcement. He gave a brief, tight-lipped answer about all efforts to support veterans being welcome. But the emotion belonged elsewhere. British tabloids printed side-by-side photographs, William on a mountain, Harry with veterans. The captions told the story without words. Internationally, Harry's speech inspired editorials about modern leadership. "In a world tired of rehearsed statements," wrote the New York Times, Harry reminded us what truth sounds like. Le Figaro in Paris wrote, "He has no throne, yet he reigns where it matters, in hearts." Royal commentators quietly admitted that history might one day judge this moment as a turning point, the day the global image of royalty shifted from lineage to authenticity. "The institution remains William's," said a veteran British correspondent, "but the spirit belongs to Harry." Back in Toronto, Harry released a short follow-up statement thanking supporters. He declined interviews, saying the focus should stay on veterans, yet his words continued to echo through news cycles. Television analysts described his restraint as the ultimate contrast to the age of self-promotion. One anchor summarized it simply: "He means what he says, and then he walks away." Weeks later, the impact still grew. Governments began integrating the Global Veterans Trust framework into national programs. Civil groups cited Harry's speech as inspiration for new mental health initiatives. Educational institutions planned scholarships under his fund. The legacy of his 5-minute announcement was shaping policy far beyond royal circles. Even critics who once accused him of abandoning duty admitted the undeniable. "He's done more good outside the palace than many have done within it," one columnist wrote. "His duty is no longer inherited, it's chosen." By Christmas, documentaries titled The Harry Effect appeared across streaming platforms, tracing his transformation from royal rebel to humanitarian icon. Viewers described tears and pride. "He reminds us that service never ends," said a veteran interviewed for one documentary. In private conversations across Britain, comparisons with William became unavoidable. "William represents continuity," said one political commentator, "but Harry represents connection." That single distinction explained why one prince filled schedules and the other filled hearts. What began as a Remembrance Day address had evolved into a new philosophy of service: global, inclusive, emotional, human. For millions, it was not just a speech. It was a redefinition of what remembrance means in a fractured world. Observers now speak of the Harry model of leadership, rooted in empathy, stripped of ego, and grounded in lived experience. It is, they say, what the 21st century needs more than crowns or ceremonies. As the year drew to a close, journalists looking back on 2025 listed Harry's announcement among the defining global moments. The imagery endured: the wind in Toronto, the simplicity of his words, the honesty in his eyes. One veteran broadcaster concluded her retrospective with a line that captured the world's sentiment: "The air climbed a mountain, but Harry moved one." The monarchy continues its pageantry, but the gravitational centre of moral influence has shifted irreversibly. Prince Harry's Remembrance Day announcement proved that compassion can command more power than coronation. Across continents, people still quote the phrase that started it all: "We serve together, we heal together." It has become not just a motto, but a movement, an anthem of unity born from the voice of one man who never needed a throne to lead. And so, while William's polished tours fade into the archives, Harry's message keeps growing in the hearts of ordinary people and soldiers who once felt forgotten. The world has chosen its prince, not the one who inherited duty, but the one who turned duty into love.
The submission itself sounds nice. And to my amazing and peculiar Sussex family, thank you all for watching our videos and tuning in to Daily Diaries Friday's update. Keep it light, keep it there, and see you next time in our next episode. Bye bye. May you have a good day and a good time. Keep shining. Bye bye.